So it wasn't really just one aha moment, but an aha frame of mind that I knew I was more worth more than a 9 to 5 could pay me.
Mm, that's a powerful moment to have.
Mm-hmm.
That's a powerful moment to have. And I think a lot of people, in the current situation, they're making sure they're assessing, what they feel like their time and energy is worth. And
Mm-hmm.
that's it. It seems like that's something as you've had your experiences that you've had consistently where the ways that you can add value, and when, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't speak to, your purpose, when to exit.
Yeah.
Should I say it that way?
Yeah.
All right, and so you obviously you have a track record of building out successful enterprises, working on successful projects, and now you're taking some time to build out VelourIt. Let's talk a little bit around now that you've had that that spark. You've always had that spark, but that entrepreneur hat, you want to wear it full time. Obviously with that comes the good and the bad that comes with you being the entrepreneur and you ultimately making the decision. So can you talk a little bit just about, is there something that you learned throughout this process of entrepreneurship that you wish you could have told, your 18-year-old self, your former self, right, when you were first maybe starting your career or thinking
Mm-hmm.
about entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Something that I wish I had known in entrepreneurship is that, ooh, I mean, there's so many things, but really what it boils down to is n- never accept a no from somebody who doesn't have the authority to give you a yes. I cannot tell you. I was very, I have to say I was surprised, but not surprised. Uh, at the amount of doubt from other people and how that doubt, their doubt, well, that wasn't my doubt, played into the facts, them believing the facts that I was stating. So if you tell somebody you can do something, or if you even if you're, for a simple analogy, if you tell somebody you can do a handstand and then you do the handstand, you're showing them, look, I can stand on my hands. And then they say, but I don't think you got into that handstand by yourself. I don't think you're supporting your own self in your handstand. It makes you want to go, what? Who? What?
Mm-hmm. You just saw me do it, right?
Right.
What's the conversation about, right? Like,
why, why,
why are you questioning?
why are we still talking about this? And unfortunately, I can tell you with COVID, it's kind of, it's not funny. It's definitely not funny. A lot of lives have been lost, and a lot of families are heartbroken. But it's interesting. Let's not say funny. It's interesting how many people continue to doubt the validity of a virus that they can't see, although people continue to die and be sick.
Mm-hmm.
And remember that when you start your entrepreneurial journey, when you come to people with facts and proof and traction, and when they don't believe you for some reason, even though it's right there in front of their face, try not to take it personally. It's not you, it literally is them. And um I mean, if they can't see the virus, they're not going to be able to see the facts you present to them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
No, that's a good segue. You mentioned COVID. That's something that's really been affecting all of us really since the top of the year. It really set the tone for 2020.
Hmm.
Not the tone I think most of us wanted to start 2020 off with. But speaks a little bit to how you stay engaged. Um, with your buyer base, which is mainly the commercial space. Um, during this time during COVID? Like, how has that experience been trying to essentially sell alcohol during COVID?
Actually, it's surprising. We've been able to maintain. I'm really grateful for the Caribbean Hotel and Trade Association, the Caribbean Trade and Tourism Board, the Foreign Agricultural Service, the USDA. They have continued to have programs nonstop. And even just yesterday, I was on a program with the Caribbean Hotel and Trade Association, speaking with the people from the Margot Bay, Marigot. I don't know how to pronounce it. Margot Bay hotel. So not only have I been able to stay close to them, close to our commercial customers and understanding what they're going through, what their concerns are, I understand more what they want to see happen coming out of COVID. And so they are wholeheartedly embracing and looking for technology-based platforms and services, platform services and products. So, coming out of COVID, there's been a huge mentality shift in the it's not broke, we don't have to fix it, to, oh, we should have fixed this a long time ago. and
Mm-hmm.
and that's for me and my company. It's being helpful. We're glad that they're at that place, and we're glad that we're able to meet their needs and help them to continue on to survive. Because for the Caribbean and Latin America, I mean, for places that are high tourism destinations, they need help. They need, they're constantly going through hurricanes and volcano explosions, and it's always something. So they need people who they can rely upon, and we're really grateful to be there for them.
Good. Appreciate that. And I appreciate you, like you said, that partnership that's vital to some of those countries in the Caribbean. So appreciate you making sure that those countries are still successful, still have revenue coming in. And I can imagine like tourism right now for some of those Caribbean countries, they have taken a hit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but they will bounce back in 2021 because I know I'll be taking a couple trips myself. And
And you're gonna
so,
have a oh, sorry.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, when you get ready to go back, you're gonna have a whole new contactless, engagement process when you go. You won't have to stop by the front desk to check in. Now they're gonna have all sorts of different ways to be able to meet your needs digitally before you even arrive at the island, and to fulfill your request. So, I mean, it's a huge shift in mind frame and industry and technology. It's just
Mm-hmm.
crazy. And it's happening for Black and brown people, which I'm especially, I'm proud to be.
Yes.
Yeah.
Call it out. Call it out. I'm not mad at that. So you are just like giving perfect segues right now. So um COVID, that's the pandemic that has really been at the forefront really from the beginning of the year. But there's another issue right now just around the conversations we're having around the social inequalities, the conversations around race that, it started with George Floyd and then just name after name after name. Jacob Blake was the most recent one. Can you talk about how those conversations have impacted you and your business?
Crazy impact. So as you can see, I myself am Black, at least on the outside, right? um, I, man, discussions we are having discussions that we never would have imagined. And actually, this shift, most recent uprising in the Black Lives Matter movement, has actually allowed me to start a side hustle. So my grandmother was always a huge advocate of keeping a little side hustle. So we started what's called the Bias Rehab Center. There's a lot of newly woke white people who have questions about what is privilege, how to use their privilege for good, what, how can they be a part of dismantling the systemic values of white supremacy that are ingrained into the American political systems. And so we have created a safe space for people to come and bring their questions and gain knowledge without without being judged or feeling the need to be defensive. So that we have a safe space where you can bring your vulnerability, and we have some incredibly articulate, just highly qualified, skilled professional men and women of color who can help you to understand your bias. I think right now, a lot of workplaces, especially that have less than five minorities, they're depending upon those minorities to help them understand their bias, but they don't realize the consequences of those minorities have to deal with explaining your bias to your manager, and then having to live with that manager on a daily basis and work underneath them. And that's inappropriate for the workplace, quite frankly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
um so yeah, we're helping to define what is a professional, diversity inclusion professional, versus a person who experiences diversity inclusion.
Mm-hmm. And I appreciate you highlighting that. When it comes to, just in my experience, when it comes to leadership, people who are essentially the decision maker, like you said, you want to get to the folks who can tell you yes. And so in a lot of situations during 2020, they've been put in front of audiences where they don't necessarily know what the right answer is. And a lot of times it's not HR appropriate. It's not something that typically is a topic, that's brought up in the workplace. So I think you providing that service for them, that safe space, it makes sense. And leaders, and then just employees within organizations, like you said, they should be reaching out to you, and individuals in that space around DNI, um, if they don't feel like they have that safe space, to figure out how they can set that up in their normal environment moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, we have sexual harassment professionals. You know, there are management training and leadership professionals who you would call in. There are team building professionals that ordinarily, businesses would call in. So now you have diversity inclusion professionals
Mm-hmm.
that you should be calling upon for help and assistance in this area, not just any old black person that walking down the street.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree with you, and it's interesting that you positioned it that way. I never thought about it, it being a segment by itself like that. But all the different areas that you just highlighted, there is somebody who's got a certification, somebody who comes in from a certification and training perspective. So it makes absolute sense when you break it down that way. I've never heard it, and this is probably one of the first instances where I would have heard that term, like, it is a buzzword right now, but making sure it means something and there's some
Hmm.
substance behind it.
Yeah. So that's, and being able to use that as a side hustle, that's helped me to realize that the huge opportunity for VelourIt. So just like Damon John started FUBU for us by us, VelourIt is a supply chain management system that's global and it's accessible for everybody, but it's for the minority small business owners, and it's built by a minority small business owners. So those independent small business owners that are here in America, they're struggling, they want to take their product overseas, but yet they can't get the distribution that they need. Come find VelourIt. Come talk to Velour, we'll help you. We got you.
Mm-hmm. So I love that. I love all of that. So in terms of you built the platform, you have this great product that, like you said, minority business owners can leverage. It gives back. We want to make sure that these business owners in different countries, they have sustainable businesses, and your platform does that. So thinking, moving forward, thinking 5 years, 10 years down the line, what's next for VelourIt, and where do you ultimately see um, VelourIt ending up in terms of market and capabilities?
Whew. Man, the world domination. Where do I see VelourIt? Dude, we're just trying to take over the world, but in a good way. Yeah. So, we're gonna be Kevin Hart cool with Jeff Bezos money.
Wow.
Translate that to whatever leather flames coming up behind us. Poof, poof. Uh, awesome catchphrases, but stacks on stacks on stacks.
Yeah, I like the confidence. I see it too. Um, is there anything, you know, like currently, like you said, you're building out the platform. You've got, you got great partnerships currently, and you got some great prospects. Is there anything in terms of that you would be looking for in terms of people engaging with the platform? Is there a way um, for companies, like how do companies actually get in touch with you and figure out how they can partner with VelourIt?
Definitely. So yes, if you're a U.S. domestic company and you're looking for overseas right now for distribution in Latin America, you can visit us at www.velourit.com, veilourit.com. You can visit us on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. And feel free to email us at uh, actually I forgot my email all of a sudden. B Sinclair. B Sinclair at VelourImports.com. Imports with an S, or just contact us through the website, Twitter, LinkedIn, or Instagram, and we'll be able to uh, talk to you by email. We can set up a time, a call or Zoom or a phone call or anything, and be able to bring you on. I don't know what just happened. All of a sudden, I just lost.
It happens. It happens. Don't worry about it. This is like Zoom call probably 1,000 for you, so it happens. Don't even worry about it. I appreciate that. In terms of on the Beyond Normal podcast, at the end I always pass it over to my guests, just in terms of you know um, closing thoughts. Anything that you would want to leave the audience with. Like you said, any call outs around what you're looking forward to. Just I'll pass it over to you.
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate the Beyond Normal podcast for having me, for giving me this opportunity to spread the good news and send a shout out to all the Black and Brown founders, minority business owners out there who are creating primary businesses and side hustles to socially and financially impact this world. Whatever we can do to be of help and be of service to you, we are your humble servants, and we're glad to be here to support you.
Appreciate that. And in closing, I want to kind of reiterate what you just said, Brooke. Just I want to thank you for taking the time, building out your platform. You're doing something different. There's a social good aspect to your business as well as making money. We all want to have businesses that make money, but you're also having that impact within the communities, Black and Brown communities that we care about. You're supporting the Caribbean right now. That's one of my favorite places to visit. Just culture, everything about the islands that I visited in the Caribbean. Um, it's really just all around great, right? I've never had a bad experience there in any country that I visited in the Caribbean. So, I appreciate you taking the time, building out your platform, coming on for an episode. Beyond Normal Podcast is really about, promoting business owners, minority business owners such as yourself, and just making sure that we have awareness around this. Past 2020, right? We know some conversations are going on right now, but similar to some of those trainings that you're giving individuals on your side hustle, we want to make sure the conversations continue, 2021, and just, keep going, right? We want to keep this going as long as we can. And we definitely want to make sure we got a lot of eyeballs and ears on the Black and brown minority community right now. So we want to make sure that we're giving the people some tasty food for thought. So, I appreciate you being on for an episode, and I appreciate the listeners for tuning in. We will be posting this on all major streaming platforms as well. So for those folks who weren't able to attend, you'll see some clips on social media, Beyond Normal Podcast, just across pretty much all the major ones: Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube. You'll see the highlights and the golden nuggets from this touch base that I had with Brooke all over social media. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks.